Good afternoon and Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Okay. So the topic is right there, journey of Sikhi. Inikor had focused on the personal journey, and I've been asked to focus on the Panthic journey here. But before I start, my morning ritual, one of them is to look at the Hukum from Darbar Sahib and interpret it for whatever I'm going to do that day. And usually I rely on that to tell me what to do that day. So since I'm going to talk about it, the Hukum today came in Tanasri Rag, Mahela Panjwa, which is Guru Arjan Sahib. And first part of the Rahau line is Tum kar avo mere meet. So Tum is you, kar avo is come home, and mere meet is my friend. I don't think it requires much interpretation here. It's pretty simple. But let me spend 30 seconds more on it. Because it is written in Tanasri Rag. Tanasri, as I understand, is a combination of Tan and Sri. Tan is wealth. And Sri, in the musical world, is considered the best rag in the Indian classical music. It is the opening classification of Guru Granth Sahib as well. But Sri literally means light. So it's a combination of the wealth and light which Guru Arjan Sahib is sharing and blessing with us today from the Darbar Sahib Amritsar. And what he's saying is, and you can interpret this, who's the you in here? It could be your own mind. It could be the companies you are surrounded with, or in the Panthic life, the fellow Sikhs, or in the global life, the fellow citizens of the world. The invitation is to come back home. Now, coming back home has lots of different connotations, and you apply it for whatever you need to, whether it is something in your biological families or something in your community organizations or a particular fight you are fighting in the world. Coming back home has larger connotations. And Guru Arjan Sahib invites us to do that. So my invitation here, which I extend to the group for the next 35 minutes or so, is how do we come back into what Guru Nanak started? Because the journey of Sikhi cannot be talked about without understanding or invoking Guru Nanak. That is the shared heritage of this room. Everything else is separate, possibly. We all got our own pet peeves, we like particular issues, we like particular political ideologies. But the shared heritage here really is Sikhi, and Sikhi starts with Guru Nanak Sahib. And what Guru Nanak Sahib is invoking when he is asked about what does he believe in, who is his Guru, he very explicitly says, Shabad Guru Surtam Chela. You guys know this, those of your interest or students or listeners of Gurbani. But I'm just invoking this as an idea that he said his Guru. And Guru in Sikhi is not just a teacher or a master or a prophet, but perfection. Perfection which is going to bring enlightenment into your life. He says, my Guru is Sabad. So Sabad is where everything is. Without Shabad, there's a conversation about connecting the dots or connecting whatever. You look at the issues in India in the last 2 weeks, and you look at even today's news. I was sitting there and I saw, Air Marshal Arjun Singh has died. Those of you who don't know, he's the only 5-star guy ever in Indian history. Proud Sikh who has served for the last 82 years of his life. And that very man, when he called the Home Minister of India in 1984, can you call in the army to stop this genocide? They didn't listen to him, but he served them well. Why am I invoking him, and why am I going to invoke even if I was coming this morning and I was listening to Hillary Clinton's interview on NPR, your public radio. And she had all the prepared and correct answers. And every newspaper had endorsed her. Every thinking newspaper had endorsed her. You know what I was sharing with Inigor while giving her right to come here? I said, most of the world is not a thinking world. Shabad is about thought. It's a higher level of thought. It's about higher consciousness. Most of the world is interested in masala. Masala ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਚੰਗਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ, ਦਾਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੜਕਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਤੇ ਖਾਈ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, Fikhi dal nahi khai jandi. But Shabad is really about raising the next levels of consciousness. And Guru Nanak Sahib had said, this is what I'm interested in. And I'm going around the world. He answered this very explicitly. This is the Pamphik life, this is the life of a Sikh. He says, I go around and look for those like-minded individuals. That's the starting of Sikhi. How do I live in higher consciousness? How do I raise my consciousness? Who's going to enter my consciousness? Everything cannot enter a consciousness. And this is what is happening these days. Everything enters because there's so much information war, so many things are coming. By the way, even back those days, there were options too. The noise was a different level. You know, the Brahman offered a noise, the Qazi offered a noise, the yogi offered a noise. Guru Nanak writes this, that's why I'm sharing those words. Which means the religious and the political leaders, they work with the agencies of the times to offer an option. But Guru Nanak Sahib says, you know what, in my consciousness, I only allow Sarat, the wisdom. And that's the journey of Sikhi from the founder of the faith. And what did he do with that? He went around the world talking about how to live, not how to think about, not how to discuss, which is important. He did all those things, but his focus was on how to live a high ethical life. And that life is lived when you are living in higher consciousness. And when the Sangat element, when he was walking around, talking with people, having conversations with the intellectuals, with the average people, with the governments, when he was being jailed, when he was being ridiculed by the intellectuals, all of that happened in the life of Guru Nanak Sahib. We might not like to talk about it, but that's the real Guru Nanak. All of that was happening according to his own testimony, in the testimony recorded in Guru Granth Sahib, as to how he invited somebody to come back home. He got a lot of appreciators in his time. Even the one who jailed him appreciated him eventually, the Emperor of India at the time, Babur. There were lots of Sangats were developing. Bhai Gurdas Ji has given us the names of people and the cities where he went and had conversations and where people liked the idea, so they continued the discussion. The discussion was about the Shabad. When you live in higher consciousness, you can talk about sexuality, politics, political activism, whatever you want to talk about, but it has to be in higher consciousness. And Guru Nanak did that, but when time came, who's going to lead the Sangats, it's so clear within Guru Granth Sahib who led the Sangat. Because Sangat is like people coming together, like you have come together. You and I might not like certain people, we might like other people. We all have glimpses of getting together at some point with everyone for community's sake, or for country's sake, or whatever else you might like to invoke. But when everything, at the end of the day, when all those people who were listening to him, those who became his fans, let's call it, those who appreciated the ideas he had, or the life he led, or the love songs he was singing, which we now call Gurbani. Because that's what he says. He uses the word Preet, Ishq, Muhabbat. We even have tough time saying these words for Gurbani now. Because we have reduced it to be dry morality. He didn't do that. We are doing that. When all of that people were enjoying or appreciating, at the end of the day, few were left to actually further his mission, and only one was left to actually really further his mission, and that became what we now call Guru Angad Sahib. And according to Guru Granth Sahib, within that Sangha, what did he give to Guru Angad? That's the legacy. It's about what you leave, right? A lot of you are, this is Orange County, the highest per capita income county. You all do asset plannings, really, your own estate plannings, whatever. So you're leaving something for someone. Mostly your offspring, some organizations. What did Guru Nanak give? And that's what I want to focus on. This is what Sangat is. According to Guru Granth Sahib, he only gave Guru Angad Sahib one thing. And the exact phrase in Guru Granth Sahib is Tag Gun, divine qualities. That's it. He says, all I leave, only one thing he leaves. according to Guru Granth Sahib, in Sab Ka Balwant Zwar, he gave Bhai Lehna, he gave Guru Angad the divine qualities. He says, this is all you need. Rest you'll figure it out. And he did. Every Guru figured it out. And the system continued. The mission further. Every Guru knew what to do. Every Sangat development. Sangat is very institutionally developing. So whether how to teach Gurumukhi, whether how to have wrestling grounds, whether to invoke women in the highest political or administrative offices by Guru Amar Das, they're all using Shabad. But the Shabad is used as a leverage to change the mandates in the community. 400 years ago, 500 years ago, women were in leadership role in Guru Angad Sahib's administrative system, at least 3 of them, including the one who led Kabul. Guru Amar Das, because the Shabad entered him, this is all Shabad. Because the Shabad entered, an orphan who is a blue-collar worker became the uncontested leader of the Sikh nation, and we call him Guru Ram Das now. Because the Shabad entered, when your 2 brothers are against you, when the religious world is against you, when the political world is against you, even then Guru Arjan accepts and embraces death, is how he presented. But the way Bhai Gurdas presents it, he says no. Because the Shabad is in Guru Arjan is still living. Kithe rahe ne Guru Arjan Sahib vich? Bhai Gurdas ji says, Rende Gur Daryao vich. Rende is present continuous. If you ever get a chance to go across the superficial borders of 1947 and cross over to the Punjab, the Western Punjab we call it, and if you ever get a chance to go to Ravi, you can ask her this question. You might get to see Guru Arjan there. Because Shabad lived in him, it didn't matter to him what the state thought, what his brothers thought, what his relatives thought. He gifted to us Guru Granth Sahib, the Shabad, as a gift to humanity, and at the same time, he's embracing martyrdom, as we call it, Shaheed Gade Sirtaj. The word Qurbani gets introduced in Sikh vocabulary by this group. Guru Har Gobind Sahib continued, and you know this, when Guru goes in Darya, a new weapon comes out. When Guru Nanak went in Vei Nadi, the weapon was Gyan Khadak, according to Guru Granth Sahib. When Guru Arjan went into Ravi, he came out with Miri Piri in the next generation. That's Guru Har Gobind for you. The Shabad is defining these things. And not every sympathizer, not every Sikh, not every funder likes this, by the way. In every Guru's life this happened. They all were like, what is this Guru up to? They even complained to their moms or other Sikhs. But the Guru is focused on what's needed for humanity and using the highest faculties of Shabad, as Puran Singh will call it. The cultured man is the one who uses the innermost faculties from the Shabad to the outer manifestations which are needed. I'm paraphrasing him a bit. Which basically means you use all your intellect to change the realities around you. Guru Har Rai Sahib does this. Guru Har Krishna Sahib does it. You know this continues. Guru Nanak Sahib set up the Jot and the Jugat and the Sangats, which means the leadership is being developed within the communities by each Guru by setting up new institutions. And this is what Shabad is. Shabad is not something, as I have understood it, that I listen to and I will feel great. I think Shabad is going to make you think firstly, make you connect, and make you do things. Doesn't matter what the world thinks. In none of the Gurus' transfer of leadership within those Sangats, Sangats helped, Sangats became critical, but I can tell you, the Sangats at the time were not really standing with the Guru. Very, very few people stood with the Guru. Because Guru Har Gobind ended up in jail too. And you know who went to the state to negotiate his prisoner release? The 2 Sikhs who had the Shabad in them, because none of the other ones didn't know what to do. And we just called them Baba Buddha Ji and Bhai Gurdas Ji today. Our theologian, our linguist, our Granthi went to talk about that. Our Ragis and our Kathavachaks used to do this because Shabad lived in them. Guru Tegh Bahadur Padsha did this, and we don't even know how to present him yet. But anyway, he's a protector of humanity. He went beyond Punjab to do this. He developed Sangats in Bihar, in Patna. He mediated between Aurangzeb's ally and the local king in Assam. I'm longing to go to that Gurdwara. I haven't figured out how to get to Assam yet. And I like going to these places where these things have happened. They make history very real for you. And they make it where the Shabad is alive. Shabad makes you do things. Shabad doesn't make you go sit on a mountain, or in today's isolation, we'll call it, in our own homes. Shabad actually makes you go get engaged in the realities of the day. And you know about what Guru Gobind Pasha had done. He exploded the whole thing by creating what the world hasn't seen, a different kind of a lover. He called them lovers, Panch Pyare. Today we don't even see the love in the lovers, those of us who profess to be Panch Pyare. It's a different kind of a lover. That was what the Guru provided in 239 years. And guess what? Your forefathers and my foremothers and all of our forefathers and foremothers, they actually continued this. And they did a great, excellent job with this. Because the next 239 years, we saw everything. We saw the genocides, we saw the Khalsa Raj, we saw annexations, we saw aristocracy, everything you can imagine. And I'm saying they did a great job because I don't think we are living in as much as you might think that this is Trump's America and things are going down the drain. They are, don't misunderstand me. I mean, it is pretty horrible. But you and I have a role to play here, just like we have a role to play if you want to have in the high consciousness. High consciousness doesn't mean we just complain and we use the same language of hate as they are using, because I do see some Sikhs doing that, and it is bothersome. Guru Nanak chooses his words very carefully. He chooses his action. I'm using the word chooses, obviously he lives in a higher consciousness, but to understand I'm using this word. And he invites everyone to come and play that game. And our elders did that. They did it en masse. Even 100 years ago, when the second cycle of 239 years was finishing, even then it was working beautifully. Puran Singh writes this, he says, you know, people don't know what to do. C.F. Andrews writes this, those of you know what happened 100 years ago under the British India. You can't get that glimpse by watching Viceroy's house yet, because they don't even cover the Sikh story. Even though she invokes Harinder Chadha, just to make it relevant, she invokes that she is a grandchild of a survivor of 1947, a Sikh woman's survivors, grandchildren, but even then she has no space for a Sikh demand or a Sikh version of a story. Because you know who's going to tell our stories? You and I who feel the Shabad will tell our stories. Nobody will tell our story. We will be agents for them. We will serve them unless you begin to serve the Sabad, the Guru. And this is where the Guru Granth and Panth works together. When we are clear about that as a community, those who are clear about it, they will serve the Guru. This is where it's about you and me. In that, after 239 years, we are roughly 30% done with the next cycle. I like to work with numbers as well. So we are in the third cycle of 239 years. We are 1/3 of the way there. And in the second cycle of the 1/3 of the way, we had already seen the Chota Kalugara. So we sort of have seen that. But you know, we never allowed Kalugaras to bring us down. We never went to the state that please do something for us. We just did it ourselves. We were never the handout people. 47 happened, 84 happened, Bada Kalugara happened, Chota Kalugara happened. Zakaria Khan has declared that there is no Sikh alive. We didn't allow any of that, because you know why? According to Sikhi, according to Shabad, according to now the institutionalized Guru Granth Sahib, the Panth is of those who make the Granth to be their Guru. Not just in phraseology, but in taking the hukum, in actually living the word. And for the Panth, it's so clear, according to Guru Granth Sahib, nobody can do anything to us. Nobody can kill us. There's only one way we die. Sikh ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ ਕਾਰਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਰਦਾ, ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਦਾ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਵੇ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦੇਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜ਼ੋਰ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਵੇ. Look at the life of Guru Arjan Sahib. His brothers were Sikhs, but they worked with the state to get him assassinated. It was a political assassination. Everyone worked to assassinate the Guru. What are you and I if we are going to become a little bit active? Everyone worked, everyone. This is so important. His brothers, the religious people of the time, the political people of the time, people like Birbal, who we like to tell chutkle about, you know. He was the only non-Muslim in the cabinet, in today's vocabulary, of Jahangir, of Akbar. He started during Akbar. But he was the first one to put a tax on Guru Arjan, and what actually came to assassinate him, but his army was diverted to today's Afghanistan area, and that's where he died. Mahesh Das Pat was his name. We gotta know our history, we gotta know our heritage, we gotta know who Guru is dealing with, and he's showing to us that the whole world can be against you, but they cannot kill you. You know why? Because Guru Arjan himself has written, he says, "Jo prani jalbin hai marta, teo Sikh gurbin mar jaye." ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਨਾ, ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡੈਥ ਆ, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ spiritual death ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, or whatever you want to call it, you know, the life without the compass, to use today's vocabulary. When we don't have the Guru, we are dead. And that's probably what is happening. But that's okay, we are about 1/3 of the way there. In the Guru period, and 1/3 of the way, by the time of the 10 generations of the Guru, 3rd and 4th generation of the Guru came, this is where the real consolidation was happening. So I don't want to leave you that, I mean, we have great answers already available to us in this Granth Panth history. The Gurus were training us. The training starts at the mind level. It comes into our behavior, and the behavior comes into consolidation of identity. Not what we do, we make everyone look like a Sikh particular way. It doesn't work. Look how many people who look like Sikhs. Even in the history of where 80% of our community lives right now, the biggest torturer were also looking like Sikhs. The butchers of Punjab also look like Sikhs. So it's not the look. It never was. The look came after the mental and behavioral development. That's what Shabad does. It prepares you and I to become the lovers. When the lovers who think at the consciousness of Shabad, when the lovers who behave at the consciousness level where you know what to do with your wife, with your children, with people who don't like you, people who like you, your behavior is same. Punjabi vocabulary has messed us up a little bit, as much as I like to say learn Punjabi. But you know, then we don't know the Shabad. Who is apna aur paraya? We love to say in the exhibitions we hold for the world because we are into PR so much. In exhibitions we'll say, I see no stranger, but ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੇਖੋ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਭਰੇ ਪਏ ਨੇ strangers ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਕਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ, ਕਦੇ ਕਬੀਲੇ ਕਰਕੇ, ਕਦੇ caste ਕਰਕੇ, ਕਦੇ ਰੰਗ ਕਰਕੇ, ਕਦੇ ਜਾਤ ਕਰਕੇ, ਕਦੇ social status ਕਰਕੇ. Somebody actually said this to me, he was relating, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਬੰਦੇ ਦਾ status ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ. ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ then you will never understand Guru Ramdas. How can you ever understand Guru Ramdas? You know, in today's context, he would be somebody who will be something like doing a hot dog stand in Manhattan. That was his job. This Granth Panth is the consolidation of Sabad Sangat. Even the word Khalsa, when it's introduced, it says Gur Sangat ki ni Khalsa. Khalsa is not somebody who is loud or looks particular way, Khalsa is a lover. Lover who has said that I want to wed the Guru. फिर साढ़े बंदे ने किया, साढ़ी बीबियां ने किया. This is our history, and this is our invitation to go back to this. So you know, how can we go there? And what is Sikhi doing about it? You heard something about what Sikhi is trying to do about it. We're trying to go back to Shabad. Our original and the only thing which the Guru gives us. There is no other thing Guru gives. Guru gives Shabad. Shabad is a system which is in Guru Granth Sahib. This is our treasure. And people who live the Shabad, they create a culture of Naam. We are running away from our own vocabulary. Naam is not something you just repeat. Naam is something which lives and grows through you. That's our culture. people of now. We were the people of now. 100 years ago, even this was so widely visible. Today, yes, we have glimpses of this, and yes, there are people who are living Shabbat, but I'll tell you, this is where you and I have work cut out. At the mental level, mind ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਇਨਵਾਈਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਇਹ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸੋਚੋ. Mind ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, not on a Sunday with a particular ragi you like. Because you know, our ragi, I'm a harsh critic of everything pretty much, but I enjoy everything too, from flute to music and everything. I listen to a lot of classical music, Hindustani, Western, rap, political rap, you name it, I've listened to everything. But even our ragis, just to put in perspective, the best ragi who's recorded in the last 100 years, they used to go to kirtan, not at the White House or the Parliament House, but Guru ke baad mein morche pe kirtan karte thi. State used to invite them, they would do it. But when they knew that Guru ke baad ka morcha lag raha hai, they would go to kirtan there and get arrested. Think about that for a second. Whoever you think is the best ragi, you think they will ever do a kirtan where there is a work being done from an anti-establishment angle? Or will they only show up to establishments? This is what Shabad really is. Please do not misunderstand me. Shabad is about, you do not see whether it is Babar, because Guru Nanak Shabad is open to Babar equally, or whether it's Bhai Lalo. Right? Good Shabad is, it's so clear. Shabad is about Ek Oankar. So if you can sing something in whichever realities you live in, but can you say the same things to people who we will today call disenfranchised people? That, by the way, is the story of the Panth. The story of the Panth is that the Shabad had so entered them that their narrative became the narrative which India or the South Asia had never seen. This is why even today they don't know what to do with Sikhs, I'll be very honest with you. I go there, I talk to people, I'm looking at social media, I'm looking at how Gurmat Ram Rahim Singh is being presented and all these things. Sikhs were the first one to counter him. But when we countered him 7 years ago, we were the terrorists. We were the intolerant ones. But now the whole world is saying how bad it is. Remember, Sikhs never cared about the public opinion. That's what Guru Granth Sahib says. Our job was to do the right thing at any cost. And some still continue to do that. But 100 years ago, when we were 239 circle full, coming back to that, we are about 1/3 way. The full circle is that average Sikh did it. Now average Sikh is not able to do it. And that's our work, because my submission to you is we are not connected to this. Shabad is something which makes you feel Ek Oankar. Then Ek Oankar is not there is one God, because there is no such thing in Ek Oankar. What are you going to do with all the atheists then? What are you going to do with people who don't believe in the Semitic idea of God or the Abrahamic idea of God? Guru Nanak Dev ਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਰੱਬ ਇੱਕ ਹੈ, ਇਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ Ek Oankar. He's not in the debate. I'm sharing this with you because now the debate of the Shabad, which starts with Ek Oankar, is I've gone through 100+ articles on what Ek Oankar is, and they're still debating 80% of them what is Oankar, and they keep dissecting the Oankar, and they keep presenting the Oankar within the Indian confines or particular Brahmanical confines, whereas Guru's life tells us Ek Oankar is just one. The one force is what I like to call it, because the force does not see in the Star Wars terminology. It doesn't see only the what we like to say, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or whatever else. It also sees Jain element. It also sees atheist, agnostic, and whatever other categories we have now. Because one force, or Ek Oankar, the original word, is this journey of Sikhi. ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਪਰੰਪਰਾ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਪਰੰਪਰਾਵਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਮਰਿਆਦਾਵਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, because we are not Shabad oriented. We are not the lovers. What is our parampara? Our parampara is where Guru Nanak Sahib says ਕਿ ਜਨੇਊ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਉਣਾ, ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਨੇਊ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਡਿਫੈਂਡ ਵੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਮਰ ਵੀ ਜਾਵਾਂਗੇ। Just think about that for a second. What does it take to get to that level of consciousness? That we will not follow any maryada, existing maryada of the time, the customs of the time, but when that custom needs defense, I will be there to die for you. Voltaire can't even imagine this, what Gurus had done. People, the religious communities or the political communities of the world can't even imagine this, what Sikhs and mass had done. This is why they don't like to tell our stories. Even a sensitive soul like Tagore refuses to tell a story. He'll only focus on what we will call poetic elements only of Gurbani, but not the political elements of Gurbani. And he is very sensitive, he knows. But he chooses to write against the consciousness of gurus in the political element because that was about raising everyone's level. Okay, I'm going to end with this, what the Shabad had said. Personal lives, you can apply this to Panthic lives, you can apply it to any lives you are living in. The second part of the Rahal line is that those who come home, right? The first part is about coming home. And even if you apply it at a very personal level, it's telling your mind to come home, because mind is the one which is not at home. Everything else, Gurbani which is very clear, there's a whole debate on immigration is going on, and Gurbani says, Man pardesi jethiye, sab des paraya. Nobody is a foreigner. This is just a 150-year-old phenomena, who is a foreigner and who is a native. According to Gurbani, if your mind is foreign, which means if you don't have a relationship with yourself, then sab des paraya, doesn't matter where you live, you're going to remain a foreigner. It's redefining the ideas. This is our heritage. And the first part of the Rahal line was inviting your own mind to come home, and then it says, "Phir tohada dokhi koi nahi hai." Then you will know you actually don't have enemies. Even if somebody says that you are an enemy, you don't say you are an enemy. Sikh vocabulary in the last 30 years is changing. Now we say certain people are our enemies. We never used to say that. Now we even say certain Sikhs are our enemies. It's so funny what is happening. And I would say it's funny and awkward because the Shabad and the Sangat idea, which has consolidated into a Granth and Panth idea, nobody wants to talk about the Panth. Joining the Panth is something else. And remember who joined the Panth? Not the establishment, even in the Guru period. Today, some of you might be part of establishment, but remember, you were not. That's your heritage. When we forget who we are, when we forget where I came from, if you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. You can watch Roots in this country and understand what happens. You gotta know your heritage. Mata Gujri, the only reminder she did to the Chote Sahibzade was, she didn't tell them what to say when you appeared in the court of, at that time, Satan's court. Only reminder she gave was, just remember who you are. Our heritage is of the downtrodden, oppressed people who were raised by the consciousness of the Guru. जिन्हां ने गुरु ने तरस नहीं कीता. गुरु अपने बारे लिखते हैं कि मेरे ते तरस करो रब नूं, पर लोकां बारे उन्होंने कदे नहीं लिखिया. लोकां नूं उन्होंने गलवकड़ी लाई. It's very different when you embrace someone instead of feeling pity for them. And then the establishment of the time, somebody like Guru Amardas Patsha, who was the richest Sikh of the time, also embraced Sikhi. So this is not a battle between haves or have-nots for us. This is about, do you operate, do you live in the consciousness? The Shabad consciousness is what we call it, the Naam culture. And the second part of Rahulain then says, those who do, they don't have any enemies. Because we know, how can somebody be my enemy according to Gurbani? You can't. It's the behavior which is a problem, it's the mindset which is the problem. Because we are the only people in the Shabad and the Naam culture, the only people who believe in Shabad and Naam, we actually believe every single person on this earth is divine. That's the Shabad. It's the behavior, it's the perversion of mind which is the problem. So we work with that. We counter that. We tackle that. So this journey, you heard one journey of a one Sikh, and people ask me, and I say, I'm a Sikh in the making. I mean, we'll always be we are a work in progress. Sikhi is a work in progress. I personally believe ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਚਲੋ ਜੀ ਮੁਬਾਰਕ ਹੋਵੇ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਰਿਹਾ because a learner is a continuous learner. I'm working, you might become a mentor of somebody, but Guru is always my mentor. And if that's the Shabad culture, in that culture, today's world, and when I do this, make it relevant, whether it is the political climate of America, or whether it is the political climate of India, because most of us are only worried about these two places, if you are worried at all. And you better be, because we talk about who's illiterate, literacy has nothing to do with the degrees we capture. I've taken a couple, I'm sure some of you are gathering some. Please do that. That's a training. But literacy has nothing to do with it. Who's the most illiterate person? The most illiterate person is who's politically illiterate. Because this is where the Sikh phrase became take fucking. Eko Onkar is invoked to work for economic and political rights. Deg is economic rights, Teg is political rights. Your and my forefathers and foremothers 100 years ago understood that very well. Even in 40s they understood that. Even some of them understood this in 80s. Even when they are serving the other people. And I leave you with this challenge. I don't think you and I or our community today has less aptitude. In fact, we have more. We have ministers in several world levels now, from Singapore to Canada, obviously in India, we have MPs showing up in at least 5 other countries. We have heads of departments, we have film producers, music videos, you name it, other than the personal richnesses. We are in influential positions. The permanent member of the Security Council representative of India was a Sikh for the longest time, and he just got invited back to India to serve in this Modi administration. So it's not that we don't have the brains. Please do not say we don't have the brains. We got the brains. What I will submit to you is those of us who are taking the trainings, or are trained, or are successful in whatever arena of life, but have we even thought about serving the Guru now? When the trained mind used to go serve the Guru, that's a totally different story, and that is the Sikh narrative, by the way. Not the ones who appreciated the Guru, not the ones who hung out with the Guru. Our Ardas remembers the ones who eventually served the Guru in any capacity. Musically, spiritually, seva-wise, politically, institutional development, you name it. So we have the right attitudes. I'm asking, let's bring Shabad into our lives. And those who are rightly trained, when they answer to Shabad, they think with Shabad, not about the Shabad, they will become the powerful next narratives of the Guru Granth, the Guru Panth. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.